hit record?
Well, record on Audacity, yes. And you can actually hit record now.
Can we do a 3, 2, 1 and clap once everyone's recording? So if you're all recording.
Okay.
Wait a minute. I'm supposed to be
I've
recording.
been recording, so.
Wait a minute.
You missed the whole thing.
Yes, which
Bonnie,
I said like
yeah.
6 times, Bonnie, but I don't think she ever heard
Bonnie
me
was off
when
getting
people were
something.
talking.
I was even getting my avocado toast.
Can I just record this later on my own?
Hello and welcome to an Oz9 special. Everyone sing special.
Special.
God, we should not do a musical episode, everyone. Right, in the room we have Shannon Perry,
Hi, just in the middle of a big gonk of coffee. Thanks very much. Hi.
Kevin Hall,
Hello.
Bonnie Brantley,
You have to say something, Bonnie. It's also audio.
Oh, hello.
Kyle Jones,
Hello.
I forgot it was audio.
Pete Barry,
Hello, Space Monkeys.
woohoo, Eric Perry.
Say something, Eric.
Also doesn't get it.
He was doing the leet pose.
Am I on?
there.
Oh, there we go. And I'm sorry, recording. Hello. And today we've come on to jump on to talk about a very exciting thing. Shannon, what is this news of an Oz9 tabletop game?
It is news. And I have been instructed that it is not a TTRPG. So I've been using the wrong language for that. This is just a TT.
What is that for those of us who are
It's
at
a
home?
tabletop. It is not.
Tabletop RPG role-playing game.
It is not a role-playing game. It is just a tabletop game. But it is a game based on the Oz9, and it will be very fun. And yeah, buy it when it's available. Kickstarter it first.
Operators are standing by.
But really, really quick, that voice that we heard first, we didn't say Sarah Golding. Hello, how are you?
That's right.
Such a good narrator you are.
Hey,
A
I
very
am not a
experienced
tour
host.
guide, okay?
If those who can't see, of course, the video is Sarah looks like she killed a camel and kept its skin and put her head through it.
I was just thinking that's just very 1960s glamorous, and then listen to you.
Indeed.
Well, that was the thing back then.
I'd like to know what part of the camel she's
They
doing.
killed a lot of camels back in the 60s.
Let's not go there.
Anyway, when
think
will
it's very
this
weird morning.
Kickstarter for this go live, Shannon and team? When will it go live? When is it aiming to be able
The
to
game?
be funded? Yes.
Soon, I think we want to get a group together to do a couple trial runs of the game and see some of the more obvious holes, and then we will get it going. We've got Lucas Elliott on board to help with the artwork, which is super exciting. He's the guy who's done all of our artwork so far. If you don't listen to the credits,
Lucas!
but yeah, Lucas is awesome, and he's going to be helping us out. But we will be kickstartering soon.
Amazing. And Pete,
That was the big announcement.
can you tell us, Pete, can people who don't know the Oz9 show, can they play this game?
Absolutely. Producing that's one of the things that we're talking about. Actually, Shannon and I were just talking about earlier this week that it's important for us that this is a game for game lovers. It's a game for Oz9 lovers, but it's a game for anybody who wants to have a fun time, basically, have a chaotic time. Maybe have a lot of fun with your friends and maybe screw them over a little bit. So yeah, I think that this will be. I think that should appeal to most of humanity. So yeah, anybody should be able to enjoy this. And if you're not an Oz9 listener, how are you listening to this? But if you are listening to this,
What are you doing?
and you're not an Oz9 listener, this will hopefully be a gateway drug
Right.
for you.
I love that.
And you can buy copies for your entire family.
That's right.
That's right. Fun for all.
Great stocking stuffer for next Christmas.
You know, if you're a new fan of Oz9, if you haven't caught up to the most recent episodes, that's okay. Some of the things may make a slightly less sense, but you'll get there.
Are there spoilers in the game?
Does it
Ooh,
come,
that's
Eric? Does
Ooh,
it come
that's a-
with a free sandwich?
You actually are immediately enrolled in the Sandwich of the Month Club.
Amazing.
So you will be delivered. It will be delivered with sides. Those are all a surprise. So yes, expect those in your mailbox.
In
Delivered in a bucket, no
2400.
less.
Yes,
It's delivered in a bucket.
yes. It's all,
It is
all in
not
the
a.
bucket.
It's not a sandwich though. It's a sedgewich, which is based on swamp plants.
There are a lot of sandwiches involved, and they do play an important role in this whole thing. So
It's all going on with the bread. Cool.
Yeah.
Shannon, can
Yeah.
you tell us a bit more about the style of the game then? So what kind of style of game? You said tabletop. What does that look like?
Right. So literally it is a game that comes in a box or a crate, like night vision goggles. Hopefully you'll be able to identify it when you get it. Basically you are exploring the ship. The object of the game is to explore the ship, gather things, talk to people, and just have fun. You're going to run into situations that you have to get out of and bad guys that you have to fight and things like that. But you'll have a ton of cards that you can use independently or combine. We're going to be using a lot of players' imagination is going to be involved in this. You have to tell a story in order to make the cards work at their optimal level. And then your teammates get to vote on your story. Whether
And
it's
how many
acceptable
people
or
can
not.
play at a time? Like we say teammates, like can you play it with just 2 people or does it need more?
I think at least 2 would be good.
Otherwise, you're just playing with
I don't know.
yourself.
No playing with yourself. 4 to 6 is probably optimal, but
Hey, don't yuck someone's yum.
it's chaos. It's going to be chaos. So
I'm guessing probably the more players, the more chaos. But I don't
the
think
more
that
players, the more
that
chaos. Absolutely.
prohibits 2 people from playing it.
Right. And I would like to just give a quick shout out. Eric and I have been playing with this idea for years and kind of trying to come up with some thoughts. And then we asked Pete to sort of help. And Pete immediately came up with a mechanic that worked. And suddenly the game became a very real proposition again, because Eric and I are not big gamers. We played like Monopoly. So we really didn't have an idea about how game mechanics worked, but we had a lot of goofy ideas. So thanks to Pete, this is actually now a going concern, as they say.
An actual
A
thing.
thing.
that
So
has
Pete,
form.
how will it
Yes.
work? Can you give us without giving too many spoilers?
Can you give us a better
A
description?
better
than Shannon
description of
gave?
how it's worked. So again,
Yeah, would you
we're
explain
still
this
in-
to me, please?
That's right. Yeah, I really need to explain to Eric is the question. So just to be clear, like we're still in the development stages, so this is a very preliminary idea. But let's say there are you'll have cards in your hands with your fellow crewmates. It is ostensibly a cooperative game, so you are all going together to achieve certain goals. However, much like the Oz 9, there will be times when you may instead want to screw over your teammates to be out for yourself. We're toying with the potential idea that at some point it may just be better to cut bait and be like, it's out, I'm out, it's every person out for themselves anyway. The actual nature of the game is going to hopefully allow it to, like, these chaotic situations to occur. But very basically, everyone has a hand of cards. They'll be playing those cards to cause effects. Those cards will be items. You may get night vision goggles. You may get an allegret.
Very merchandisable.
You may get a sandwich. You could get a whole. You may get the components of a sandwich with different cards that have to be put together to make a sandwich of some sort. But the various items will allow you to accomplish various things. Right now, the idea is that each deck that you encounter will have some encounter card. For instance, not sure if this will be in the game in the final one, but we were going along with Oz 9 events. So if you remember way back to the beginning of the show, Colin steps out of his healer pod and immediately Horace steps out of his healer pod and immediately tries to convince everybody he's Colin. One idea we're playing with is the first deck is, here's a chimney sweep named Colin. Who is he really, right? So you have to play certain objects to get through that encounter to eventually get Colin on board with you. So that's the sort of idea. Hopefully that's helpful. I mean, I'm not sure I'm explaining any game mechanics because again, we're in a development stage. We're still working out how the individual mechanics work out, but it's essentially playing cards to further yourself and your teammates through the game, or screw over your teammates and be out for yourself.
How exciting.
How do you win?
You kill everybody else, Bonnie.
How do you win?
Well, it's a bit of
Very bomb answer.
It's a great question. This is going to hopefully be an ongoing kind of adventure game. You can quote unquote win individual episodes, I guess we would call them. So you set the board up in one way. You could play a session of the game, which you could accomplish whatever the team is trying to accomplish, or that you might accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. So once that is done, then you could move on to episode 2 and set the board up a different way, and then now you're moving through the ship as we go.
I think it's also understood that there is a meta story going on that's vague. You don't know really what the solution to it is, but that there's something that you're building towards throughout the whole game that isn't evident in every room per se, but you're I assume we're building into it some sort of, sense that you're moving through something to some ultimate larger goal than
Right.
just
Right.
escaping the given room. So that's part of what eventually wins the game, but that is not yet defined. So what that is.
I mean, the truth is much like the show Oz 9, this could go on for
Yes.
years and
Yeah,
years
right.
and
Sort of like a
years.
Candyland Mobius strip.
A little bit, yeah. In
Yes,
fact,
it just circles back on itself
you start
constantly.
out with a group of rooms that are familiar to listeners. You'll have
Clue.
you start out by being popped out of your pod, very much like a Colin character. Like you're
do we have a-
suddenly
Like a playing
Oh, what?
piece that's one of the characters?
there will be playing pieces. Yes, and in fact, you choose from. You're not playing an Oz9 crew member because you'll encounter the crew members as you go through the ship, right? Then Jesse's in one room and you'll have a QR code and you'll hear Bonnie's voice. By the way, Bonnie, I'm going to be, everybody gets to do these. You'll hear
You're
Bonnie's
drafted,
voice
Bonnie.
giving you some details about the room that you're in and the things that you're seeing and just some information. And then you play through the deck that's in that room, exhaustively or not, and then move on to the next room, and you have to use the corridors through the ship, and there's a lot of just chaos that happens as you move through, but it's very much a card driven game.
Yes, every game comes with one Bonnie Brantley in the game box. Just so you know. No, I
But
should
it
say.
shows up late.
I think what Shannon was saying. There's
Little
maybe
tiny
an
printer.
element that we missed. We're thinking of the cards in the box do have QR codes that you can scan with your phone, and that you will hear pre-recorded audio that will immerse you within the
Right.
game. So you may hear.
So will you
Bonnie's
have
voice,
to use
if
your
you
computer
see-
with this game, or can you play it in your living room on the coffee table without your computer?
Same.
We want to make this as accessible as possible, but so you
Right.
can do it. You can use all of those scanners, but it's also, we had discussed, again, very preliminary stages yet, but maybe there will be something you can read off, and then each person could theoretically, like, if you want to listen to Bonnie, because why wouldn't you want to listen to Bonnie? You can scan the QR code. But if you don't have a phone, then someone could be assigned to be Jesse, and be like, read in your best Jesse voice.
Exactly.
Oh, that's been good for
Best Jesse.
Yeah, if Grandma wants to play.
Right, exactly.
Sorry, Sarah, I missed what you said.
Just say you should record those impressions of the reading of the characters, and so we can hear
yeah.
your
Oh, yeah.
impressions of the cast. Send them
Yeah,
to the Discord channel
absolutely.
for us.
Yeah,
on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But she was asking about pieces, by the way. Bonnie was asking about game pieces and stuff. And I think what we kind of going with is there isn't necessarily a lot in the beginning, but we may over time come up with pieces. And this is all going to be possibly from Lucas's artwork. That will be incorporated into game pieces. And there, we have other like speculative ideas that images may be able to be pulled from the internet one way or another that we can incorporate into the game. Legally, yes, only on the legal so far. So that's a kind of a wide open thing but the idea I think is that you can play it either with game pieces or you can completely not bother with them and just play the game with the game board or whatever, and just all in your head or whatever. And I think another big part of the show that is in general important to understand is that it's meant to be like you are performing this episode of the show, and so it's very kind of on the player's part a performative thing where you are acting out as your character. What it is you do, and through the game cards, they'll give you scenarios and games to play, which allow you to improvisationally come up with story ideas or character ideas, or just fill in holes about things. And it's very interactive with the player. The player is very interactive with the game, and you're creating it in your own way.
Yeah,
in many
everybody's
ways.
ship will look different the way that you organize the ship, because there are corridors that take you from room to room, and things happen in the corridors because, of course, they happen in the corridors on the show as well. But you have to summon a corridor or earn a corridor. We haven't quite figured out this mechanism yet, but that in itself, moving from room to room, is a challenge, right? And so everybody's ship is going to look differently. We'll encourage people to take a picture of your game when you put it away for the day, because this could, as the game builds out, get huge. Sorry for those people who have limited floor space, but that's the plan. The idea is that you are not necessarily playing one of the characters, but you are playing something like the characters. So there's like a Madeline-ish role type that you play that's sort of the leader, and she has certain strengths and weaknesses. And there's a Jessie-ish character that has certain strengths and weaknesses. So in that case, we would probably make the figures that the little meeple, new word I learned at OrcaCon, the meeples that move around the board would look like the characters that you're familiar with from the artwork.
Cool. How very exciting. Is there a time stopper so that you can go for a wee? No. How will the cast be involved with this game in any other way? Is there any other way that fans can contribute to game design?
Yes, there's lots. In fact, we already have one card. And again, all this stuff is still being designed, so we can't make any guarantees of what the final version is going to look like. But one of our fans, Yanis Vestin, sorry if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, designed an Allegret. She drew an Allegret just for the fun of it. And we love the drawing that she did. And so Daniel the Allegret is one of our cards with her design on it. And so there will be opportunities, and we hope that people will, when you combine cards in weird ways and tell these funky stories, we hope that people will record them somehow, and then have some sort of instrument that they can share those. We actually have places where you'll interact with the Discord channel just for the glory and guts of it. You don't have to do any of these things. A lot of it is just sort of, if this sounds like a fun thing for you to do, you can earn points doing it. So go ahead. You don't have to do it if that's not a thing. We assume that most people at least have access to QR codes on their phone because they're listening to our show, presumably on some sort of device. So, I just love the idea that you'll be able to hear the familiar voices of the cast. And we have quietly gotten the yes from some of our former characters to come back and voice their characters. So.
How cool.
I know.
Ooh.
I
At
am
the
so excited.
1735 mark. Fast forward to
You
that.
heard
if
it
you wanna know
here.
The most important thing about this whole talk.
Spoiler alert.
Yep.
Yes.
Spoiler alert, and I'm not saying who, but it's all of them. So.
Yeah, and one of the bigger ideas we have too is that players will create their own tabletop versions and their own pieces that they can contribute. This is a little down the line, so this is not a beginning thing, but contribute their own images from this whole thing that can be put into some sort of general website where people can look at it and say, oh, they get different ideas for how to build their own home set or whatever like that, and they can create their own scenarios visually and share ideas about their setups, which I think would make this a very interesting kind of communal and player-built game to a certain extent too.
Poor Pete is having to
yeah.
listen to two people who really have no idea what tabletop gaming is
No,
all
it's all
about,
good.
and he's like, I don't know how.
I was going to promise something that I'm not sure I can deliver, which is that we're going to need playtesters.
Yeah.
So I don't know how best. So if there are some way of working that out.
You had one job, Pete.
Yeah.
I mean, like, again, I would love, if fans are very interested in playtesting, it's a question of how,
Right.
are you in Seattle? But
It doesn't even.
but if you're somewhere
Yeah.
where we can get a game and
If you're interested in
absolutely.
doing that, can we send an email out, Shannon, for someone
Yeah.
to ping you?
Also find us on Podcast Nexus. There's an Oz9 channel on Podcast Nexus Discord channel. And that's where we're getting a lot of, I'm talking a lot to that crowd just to get ideas of things they're excited about, what they think might work. There's a lot of gamers in there. So Podcast Nexus is
Put
the
a link on the
Discord
show notes for you.
server.
Yes.
And we'll put a link in the show notes and invite to the Oz9 channel. And check out the whole Podcast Nexus, because there's just a ton of stuff going on in there that's really fun. But the cool thing is we've already started building a community there. There's a lot of gamers in there who are going to help us out. They actually sent me a link to these online tabletop things that you basically load your game up, and they have a platform that makes it available. So that people can play your game in an online version together, which would be great. I don't know how complicated it is. We'll see. We may just end up sending out decks because I ordered a bunch of these little plastic sleeves and I want to use them. So we may just end up printing out the preliminary versions of the cards and sending them over. But
Recipes for drinks.
Or send Shannon on any social media uses for small plastic
there you
sleeves.
go.
Our Patreons, our lovely Patreons, did they
Yes.
get any specific perks too? Because hello to our
That's a
Patrons,
really
we're very
good-
much appreciated.
Yes. Join the Patreon. Let's say right now, and I don't know what this will be, but there will be something special for patrons to do with the game. Something. But there will definitely be something. But we would love people to join the Kickstarter. You know, obviously we have a lot of really big ideas. We've talked about building a 3D version where the ship has levels and, you know, all kinds of crazy stuff. So the more funding we get, the further we can take it, and it is going to be chaos. But in my mind, what I see when I think of people playing this game is a bunch of people like around a table throwing popcorn at each other, laughing, you know, chaos, crazy, screwing each other over. Everybody dies 15 times to Sunday. It's a big thing. But in the end, it doesn't matter because you're just having fun with the game, right? And it's just a new way of experiencing Oz 9, very much in the spirit and tradition of Oz 9.
No, I kind of disagree. That's basically listening to an episode of Oz 9.
It kind of is. If you ever watch one of our read-throughs, it's very much like what the game is, minus the throwing of popcorn. But yeah, that's really what I want is a lot of silly laughter.
I
Bonnie,
have so many
sorry.
questions.
Go.
My level of gaming is along the lines of Clue and Monopoly and Candyland and Pac-Man. And then recently, you know, you don't know Jack. So I do know a little bit about, you know, being on your phone and playing games with other people sort of, but no role playing, no, you know, and then, you know, Uno, when you can get to go, haha, bam. You know,
Right.
so I know some card games where it's all cards. And that's all you do is
Right.
play cards with each other. And then I know tabletop games where
Right.
you move something around to get to a goal. That's
Right.
about my level of knowledge of these kind of games. Will
And
there
this
will
is
be a
both of
spinner
those.
or dice going on to cause some chance, or is it all throughout your deck and what you're doing with it, or both?
There's one more mechanism that we haven't discussed, which is the luck clock. And this is partly your incentive to screw over your teammates. I don't know. I hope I'm not giving too much away, but you start out with a total of 42 luck points. And the idea is that anytime anyone survives anything on the Oz 9, it is largely due to luck.
That's good.
Right? It is certainly not our skill or our expertise or our wisdom that saves our butts. It's mostly luck, right? So as things go well in the game, you lose points on the luck clock and you count down from 42. And the way that you regain points, because you don't want to get to 0 on luck clock because then you're all screwed. But the way you regain luck points is by screwing over teammates.
Oh, this will cause some family fights.
And there are dice
And there are
involved
dice
too.
involved, yeah.
I was gonna say, Buddy, maybe to answer your question, if I think I've got your level of game right, imagine playing Uno while there's like a bomb in the room. Like that would probably be
With a bunch of
so
drunk frat boys.
So you're playing
Where you can affect each other.
an Uno style card game, right? There's not different rules, but like just to give you the sense, like you're playing a card game where you're playing something, somebody else is going to affect you, someone else, the cards you're playing. But then, in addition to the card game, imagine
Right.
you're playing Clue, right? Where there's a new card game to be played in every room, right? So you move into the study, and now there's a card deck in here, which you will play a game. You'll play a game of Uno in the study. You'll move then into the conservatory, and there's a card deck in here where you can play the game that's going on in
Which
here.
we are, right?
You can also, if you are an idiot or reckless, could start multiple games at the same time.
If you really want to start a family fight.
And then you're in big trouble, but you can do that if you want. And that's like putting out multiple fires on the Oz 9.
Will we have like a website link to getting for family therapy along with the card, because there will be fights.
No, you're on your own.
Did you ever watch Modern Family? They would have game night. It was something else. Somebody used to have family game night, and they would always get in a fight.
Yeah.
That's what we're hoping for.
Any
Oh,
fights
because
and injuries
Wizards
caused
of
by
Waverly.
the Oz 9 board game are,
Our whips, everyone.
our lawyers
That's right.
say that's not,
Not
our
our
fault.
I need a disclaimer and a hotline,
This game ends actually when somebody finally gets fed up and tips the board over, like
or
Monopoly.
takes everyone out of their will.
So long as the level of fights aren't along on the same lines as diplomacy, which has been known to end friendships and families, we're fine.
No, there's no diplomacy.
Get
on
mad
the
at
Oz 9.
Monopoly.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is no diplomacy, so that
family.
makes it
Can there
easy.
be a
family
QR
again.
code where they can scan that and have the fighting sounds of Tiberius Felonius and that, so they can fight
That's one of
back?
the things that we've talked about is when you first enter a new room, right? There's somebody in there to tell you. One of the event cards is somebody in there. One of the characters is in there to tell you what's going on and what you see and so forth. But we also want to have the ambient noise of that room attached to that QR code, so you can just leave your phone on and listen to the ambient noise of the bioswamp as you're playing around in the bioswamp. So there'll be fun stuff like that, just to
There are other
immerse you.
games that are based on accessing QR codes too that we may incorporate into this. That we don't want to give away now, probably.
That memories room would be
Memory
good. That
story,
if we could
yes.
get audience to send in their
that's a great idea.
memories, they could be
They could be in the
involved in
memory
that
room
Or
too.
make
Yeah.
some up.
Oh, I love that. Memory storage.
Yeah.
That's fun. Oh, and incidentally, Kyle and Chris, who's not here with us, unfortunately, but you're going to be kind of relied on fairly heavily for telling people the game mechanics.
We're gonna need it.
We want to do well, there'll be a booklet that explains, as much as we understand of the game, we don't
It's in
understand it ourselves.
Russian though, so
but,
only Russians.
but we
will
also have the
understand.
narrators.
The instructions are going to be in ancient Norse, right?
Absolutely. 100%.
we're going for something more
right,
obscure
yeah.
than that.
We're gonna have
Right.
multiple.
You have to go.
languages
You
and
actually have to
numbers.
go find the Rosetta Stone and translate it yourself. So
Could we use Bonnie's doodle work in the game somehow?
Oh, great!
We'll see if we can license that.
yes,
Yeah.
Oh,
Gotcha.
we just discussed that
Yeah.
last
I've just been
night.
mailing it out to people already. I mean, I have an idea.
Wait.
Can I leave it on here? No, I can't.
No, not on the recording, but let me know.
So Shannon, how can people get one when they want one? What is if they're excited,
copy of
they're
the game?
chomping at the bit? How can folks get the game?
Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have a Kickstarter here fairly soon. Hopefully very soon. I don't know, Pete. How soon?
Yeah, I mean, we want to play test it and make sure it's good, but yes, we want to make sure that the Kickstarter gets off the ground pretty soon.
Yep, because that'll kind of give us an idea what the limitations are and what we can and can't do and what we need to list for later. And there will be extension packs as the game, there'll be more and more rooms and more cards and things, so that this will go on and indefinitely. And hopefully you can play it over and over again, because it will be different every time. The cards in your hands will be assembled a different way, and you'll move through the ship in a different pattern and stuff. But anyway, so anybody who donates a certain amount to the Kickstarter will receive a copy of the game.
Someday.
And other than that, it will
Just say-
probably
just say someday, that's
be
okay.
on sale on our website. I don't know. I don't
It's
know.
available at Toys R Us.
Coordinates
great
will be
if we could
sent
get it
via
in some-
sandwiches.
There will be a treasure.
Yeah,
hunt that you
seriously.
have to do.
Yeah. I mean, it would be great if we could get it in some little independent game
Yeah.
stores or something. I don't know that any producer is going to be chomping at the bit to buy our game and license it, but
Oh, be bold. They'll all want
Whatever.
it. This game is going to be amazing.
that's right. It's going to be fun, I think. I think it's going to be great fun.
It's gonna be light your farts on fire exciting.
That's the tag on the game. Yeah.
Well, on that note, thank you very much to Shannon Perry, Eric Perry, Bonnie Brantley, Kevin Hall, Pete Berry, Carl Jones, and
Bye.
me, Sarah Golding. Keep listening to Oz 9. You're all amazing.
Avoid the Fugo.
Stay safe. Eat cheese.
Lights.
That'll do. Bye.